तेरी रहमतों का बदला मेरी बंदगी नहीं कांशी टीवी देखने वाले व्यूअर्स ਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੇ एक्चुअली ਉਹ ਵੀ ਐਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਸਲਾਮ ਨਮਸਤੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਵੀ ਆ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੈਲਿਊਬਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਸੋ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹੈਲਥ ਟਾਕ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਦਾ ਕਾਂਸ਼ੀ ਟੀਵੀ ਦੇਖਣ ਵਾਲੇ काशी टीवी देखने वाले दा सो सत श्री अकाल वंस अगेन सो दोस्तों लैके हाजिर हाँ तुहाडे लई हेल्थ टॉक शो जिहदे विच अज असीं गलबात करांगे साडे इमोशनल कॉजेस ऑफ रिमेथॉइड एंड एथराइटिस के बारे सो जो कि गंठिया हुंदा है गंठिया जिहड़ा हुंदा है साडे किसी भी पार्ट दे विच हो सकता है जो कि असीं ऊबी तो जानांगे जो कि इमोशनल हेल्थ के बारे गल करनगे कि किस तरीके दे नाल जिहड़ा इमोशन हुंदा स्ट्रैस जिहड़ी हुंदी है वो गंठिए ते अफैक्ट करदी है ते वो वधांदी हैगी है इहदे बारे सारी जानकारी देंगे अज देव ऊबी जो कि हुण टीवी प्रेजेंटर भी ने सो शी विल प्रोवाइड अस मोर वैल्यूएबल इंफॉर्मेशन नाउ ऑन काशी टीवी ऑन हेल्थ टॉक शो सो स्वागत करती हैं देव ऊबी thank you so much for coming I know it's a bank holiday and you made your way to here
I know I feel I'm very committed to what I do and I'm thinking there's no bank holiday when it comes to well-being
yes
we come first our health comes first
so ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਹਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਓ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ what's your background how did you come to do all this emotional ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ so what's your background firstly
okay my profession is a self-mastery life and spiritual coach so I work in three sort of main areas so I teach self-mastery and how to use life challenges as an opportunity to grow and evolve because coming from my own experience I use my own life challenges to make me the person I am today to learn from my own obstacles and difficulties and I took advantage of them instead of sinking with the problems I learned to swim and so it's an opportunity like I said to realize that every challenge is a gift and a lesson and we call it like a blessing in disguise and once we change our perspective our thoughts and beliefs around it so the circumstances are bedeutend so that's one of the areas I work on and the other area that I work on I teach self-mastery and how to become a conscious creator of your reality so once we decide to take the responsibility to co-create understanding how the mind and the universal laws work you can really create the life you desire and the dreams to be fulfilled and like they say manjit jagjit once you conquer your mind you conquer your world and you let go of the old way of thinking and we actually become a slave to our subconscious programs that have been playing automatically so once we become aware of that become the master of your thoughts and become the master of your creating the life you want to so that's the other area and the third area that I self-master is understand the messages that we receive through our physical symptoms in order to heal our past traumas and let go of self-sabotaging beliefs and programs and that's the one we will be focusing on today on our chat show today so yes I decided to become a mental health practitioner through my own symptoms that I kept having reoccurring as a chronic symptoms over years and years and years and I wanted to know that what actually is the root cause because the doctors were happily prescribing me with medication one after medication after another and they just want to treat the symptoms but they don't have the time to tell you what caused it so I became very passionate about I wanted to know the cause I don't want to live the rest of my life on
not
medication
the causes
yes so that's what really led me to follow this path so as a mental health practitioner when I qualified about 6-7 years ago it taught me how to specialize in pinpointing root cause of any illness from such as heart disease acne or let's say eczema and with arthritis so any physical symptom so like we say in conventional medicine illnesses are seen as something going wrong in the body usually a sign and we want to get rid of it. As soon as we know there's a physical symptoms, we go to the doctor. I don't like this. Give me some medication. Treat the symptom, and I want to get rid of it. We get feeling disappointed, and we start to feel our bodies working against us. So this is through conventional medicine. But when I trained as a mental health practitioner, I realized that all physical symptoms are a meaningful response to a particular negative emotion. So I'm going to repeat this again because this is so important. So in mental health perspective, all physical symptoms are seen as a very meaningful response to a particular negative emotion. Okay?
Oh, wow. This is very important to tell
Yes,
our viewers.
yes.
So ਉਬੀ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਪੁੱਛ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਉਬੀ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸੈਲਫ ਮਾਸਟਰਿੰਗ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਮਨਜੀਤ ਤੇ ਜਗਜੀਤ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਤ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਜੱਗ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਅਰਾਊਂਡ ਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਤ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਸੋ ਸੈਲਫ ਮਾਸਟਰਿੰਗ ਇਹੋ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਤਣਾ, ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਤੇ ਫਤਿਹ ਪਾਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨਲਸ ਤੇ ਫਤਿਹ ਪਾ ਲੈਂਦਾ, ਆਪਣੀ ਹੈਲਥ ਤੇ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਤਣਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਹੈਲਥ ਵਾਈਜ਼ ਕਿ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਸ਼ਨਸ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਠੀਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਹੈਲਥ ਨੂੰ ਬਿਹਤਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਸੈਲਫ ਮਾਸਟਰਿੰਗ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਸੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਝ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਹੋਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਫੀ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਲੈਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਪੈ ਰਹੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਦਵਾਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੋਜ਼ਿਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ, ਪਰ ਰੂਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਦੀ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਇਹ ਜਾਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੈਲਫ ਮਾਸਟਰਿੰਗ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ। ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਇਸ ਹੱਦ 'ਤੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਹਰੇਕ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਆਧਾਰ 'ਤੇ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਟਰੀਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਾਈਫ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਏ, ਕੋਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਾਦਸੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਾਡੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ 'ਚ ਵਾਪਰੀ ਹੋਏ, ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਿਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਲੱਗਦੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ, ਅਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣ ਲਈਏ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਛੁਟਕਾਰਾ ਪਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸੈਲਫ ਮਾਸਟਰਿੰਗ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਿਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਰਾਹਤ ਪਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
That's right. So when I said it's a very meaningful response or symptoms to particular negative emotions, so let's give examples in the authority. So let's say anger, gussa, that be associated to like the organs like gallbladder or the large intestines. And we have symptoms like constipation, we're holding on to gussa. So I'm just giving you a few examples because the whole body, though we can go on for hours.
Hanji.
So like the emotion of guilt or shame, that be associated with things like bones and blood vessels वगैरह, and that be also associated to arthritis.
So ਜਿਹੜਾ ਐਂਗਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਬਜ਼ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਇਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾਤਰ। ਹੋਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਆਏ, ਕੀ ਹੋਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ?
Well, it's like I said, gussa is mainly to do with certain organs, so gallbladder, like we have
gallbladder ਦੇ ਨਾਲ,
gallstones,
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ,
ਪੱਥਰੀਆਂ
ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ। ਜੀ ਜੀ।
So there is so many different, but I'm just going to give you a few examples.
The main one ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ। ਹਾਂਜੀ।
So like the emotions of fear, that would be associated to the organs lungs. You know, like we get asthma and TB वगैरह, because if you think about fear, our biggest fear is fear of death, isn't it? The biggest fear.
तो सानू डर है यो हुंदा भी मौत ना हो जाए।
So what do we need lungs for? To breathe. So if you think about death, that means we're going to stop breathing. So that's why I say it's a very meaningful response. A meaningful response, it has to have a meaning to each organ.
काफी ਇਹਦੇ ਚ ਰਿਸਰਚ ਵੀ ਗਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਨਾ, ਵੀ lots of people did a research, then they find out ਵੀ ਹਾਂ ਅਗਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ fear ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਉਹਦਾ connection ਕਿਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ। Maybe they done so many studies after they find out कि हाँ जब fear होता है ते lungs it's a breathing connection with it.
So that's what I mean, our body is so beautifully created and it knows exactly what emotion is attached to which organ and tissue and cell. And so like the emotional worry, that would be sort of associated around the stomach area, things like that. So every organ will have some sort of emotion that will be very meaningful, that particular cell tissue layer. So like I said, all the negative emotions are the root cause of all our health issues.
ਸੋ ਮੇਨ ਗੱਲ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨ, ਬਿਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ। ਅਗਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਥੋਟਸ ਹੋਣਗੇ, ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵਿਟੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਿਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਘੱਟ ਲੱਗਣਗੀਆਂ।
Absolutely, ਹਾਂਜੀ। So if you really want to fully heal, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੰਗੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਲਾਜ ਕਰਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, you need to get to the root cause. We don't do that. We just want to suppress it with medication, numb the feeling and numb the fear, numb the worry, you know. So we're not getting to the root cause, and that's why we find that doctors might treat it for a little while, thoda fark pੈ ਜਾਂਦਾ, but sooner or later it'll come up again, it'll resurface another symptom. So you're not actually dealing with the root cause, and the reason we need to deal with the root cause because there's like you said, it's a soul lesson, there's a lesson in there. So like we said, every illness is a lesson for us to learn.
So ਹਰੇਕ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਾਡੀ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਲੈਸਨ ਕਰਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗੜਬੜ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰੋ.
That's right. So it's making us aware the symptom, any pain, headache, spot, anything. It's making aware of our emotions, our stories, our memories that need to be healed and released. We're still holding them in our body field, energetic field. And when we're not actually addressing those, when we push it away, it will come up as manifest as a illness. Okay, so we do have opportunities before in the past. We do get intuitive awareness that there's some sort of emotional issue that we need to resolve, but most human species are afraid of feeling the emotions, fear of feeling the sadness or the hurt, and we find ways to avoid it. And when we live in avoidance all the time, it will come up as a physical symptom.
Okay, so ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅਵੋਇਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹੈ ਤੇ we have to look at it, address them.
Emotions, and when we're avoiding the emotions, then it comes as a physical symptom and the body is like shouting out like, you can't ignore me now, you can't avoid me now, I'm a physical symptom that needs to be addressed. Do you understand?
So ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਵੀ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਸਿਰ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਛੱਡੋ ਪਰੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਮਾਈਗ੍ਰੇਨ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਲੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ then we have to go to the doctor and get the medicine. So ਪਹਿਲੇ ਹੀ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਇਲਾਜ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਵੀ ਅਗਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਕੋਈ ਸਿੰਪਟਮਸ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਈਨ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਟ੍ਰੀਟਮੈਂਟ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਹੀ ਚਾਲੂ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਪਏ ਜਾਂ ਟ੍ਰੀਟਮੈਂਟ ਵੱਡੀ ਟ੍ਰੀਟਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਏ.
That's right, and it's like, but that treatment is very wrong. So we just give ourselves paracetamol or something, but we're not actually dealing with the actual cause of what is it, what I was thinking about, what is it I was feeling about that's actually created this symptom. So
ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਵੀ ਜੇਕਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਾਡੀ ਬਾਡੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡਾ ਪੇਟ ਹੀ ਦਰਦ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਿਰ ਦਰਦ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਦਾ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਲੱਭਣਾ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਿਰ ਦਰਦ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਕੀ ਖਾਧਾ ਸੀ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਪੇਟ ਦਰਦ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ.
That's right. So like I said, our body, our higher consciousness, because I call our body the higher consciousness, is always talking to us. It's always talking to us through our symptoms, through our emotions, and our internal dialogue. जो भी dialogue हो रही है ना, it reacts instantly in every cell in our body. So let's say suddenly we hear somebody's passed away or fear of death or something or dara jinda. Instantly in that moment, जो भी सोच सनो आंदी है, our cells in our lungs will start reacting. And let's say fear of extinction in the future, will I survive, will I be able to feed my family, that instantly the cells in the liver will start reacting. And let's say the fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of being isolated, fear alone, and the cells in the kidneys will react. Asar kuch ho raha hai inside with our thoughts.
So ਸਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਾਡੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਕਰਦੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੀ it's like ਚੁਗਲੀਆਂ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ inside.
There's another world, there's another sort of like a universe.
Everything is within us, isn't it?
So even as we're talking now, there's so much going on, millions and millions and billions of things are going on in our body at the moment, and so every cell is always responding to our thought, how we think, and every word we speak as well. In every moment our cells are reacting, so like sometimes we say, oh, I hate this and this makes me feel so sick watching this program. Our cells quickly take that on board. And sometimes when we hear somebody has got like a terminal illness or something, and they start using the word like, I got to fight this, I want to fight this cancer, I'm going to fight this disease, our body and our mind and our words react to that, because the word fight means I'm under attack. So when the body thinks you're under attack, it goes into fight or flight mode. So actually it switches off the immune system because it needs to reserve the energy to fight or flight. So the immune system actually we need the immune system to put into growth and repair, to heal the symptom. But when we say, I've got to fight this, you're actually not fighting, you actually are not healing the symptoms, you're making it worse just by saying that.
Okay. So it's the right word using for your body is quite important. The language you use, the word you say is more important, है ना? मैं वो भी नू यो ऐसी गल कर रहे सी कि जेडे importance of word, positive words जेडे वो भी सानू कई बारी अपने लिए नहीं कहने आंदे, because सानू पता नहीं है केड़े words साडी body लिए ठीक ने कहने. जिदा हुन वो भी ने उदाहरण दिता भी कई बारी हुंदा कोई patient जेड़ा कैंसर दा वो कहंदा भी मैं ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ फाइट करनी हैगी. फाइट ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੜਾਈ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਬਾਡੀ 'ਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਲੜਾਈ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਬਾਡੀ ਹੈ वो अपनी ऊर्जा संभाल के रखती है ताकि मैनू लड़ना ना पे कि शायद कोई फाइट होएगी ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਨੂੰ अपना योगदान पाना पेगा ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ वर्ड्स यूज़ करते साडी बॉडी ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦਾ ਇਮਿਊਨ ਸਿਸਟਮ डाउन हो ਜਾਂਦਾ है सो इसलिए ਜਿਹੜੇ वर्ड्स ਅਸੀਂ अपनी ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਹੈਲਥ ਦੀ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨਲੀ ਕੋਈ ਡਿਸਟਰਬੈਂਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ वर्ड्स ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ ਕਿਹੜੇ यूज़ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹਦਾ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਯੋਗਦਾਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸਾਡੀ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੋ ਇਸੇ ਲਈ ਓਬੀ ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਇਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਚੰਗੇ ਚੰਗੇ वर्ड्स ਦੱਸਣ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ health ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾਈਏ
So we have to remember what we are at our core essence as vibrational beings, yeah.
ਹਾਂਜੀ
We're this energy force, powerful energy force. So everything has energy, the words, the thoughts, everything energy, yeah. So it will know the frequency of it. So the word like worry, hate, fight, these are very low frequency. And that actually shuts our repair and growth parts of our body. So we need to use words like I'm recovering, I'm getting better, I love, compassion and kindness. This all puts you into healing. So and the body doesn't need to go into fight or flight mode. It goes into growth and repair.
Okay. So ਵੀ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਵਰਡਸ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਵਰਡਸ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਐਟਮੋਸਫੇਅਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰਾਊਂਡਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਐਨਰਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਣੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਐਨਰਜੀ ਵਾਈਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੰਗੇ ਵਰਡਸ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਬੋਡੀ ਨੂੰ ਊਰਜਾ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੇਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਗਲਤ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਵਰਡਸ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਐਨਰਜੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੀ ਲੂਜ਼ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਿਕਵਰੀ ਵੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਵਰਡ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਐਨਰਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵਧਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਬੈਟਰ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਤੇ ਬਾਡੀ ਤੇ ਸੋਲ ਦੇ ਲਈ
ਹਾਂਜੀ so really we are 100% responsible for every experience in our lives ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ words we use so we are 100% responsible for it we can't blame anyone else for what we're feeling and going through and so like I said the universe a higher consciousness it totally supports that inner dialogue because the universal energy is non-judgmental it's unconditional love so whatever we start to accept as our truth and what we start to believe about ourselves and our relationship with others the universal energy God whatever you want to call it will support you it will say whatever you believe I'll give you more of that and we're all aware that we always know the outer world is a mirror of what's going on in our internal minds the thoughts and beliefs we have about ourselves and the body is also a mirror of what we think and believe about ourselves and others. So the body is also mirroring back through our symptoms. What thoughts are we believing in that's creating these symptoms?
ਸੋ ਵੀ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਲ ਪਾਵਰ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਬਿਲੀਵ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੇਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੰਗੀ ਥੋਟਸ ਚੰਗੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਮੰਗਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਚੰਗੀ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਪਰ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਚੰਗੀ ਤੇ ਬੈਡ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮੰਗਣੀ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਾਈਡ ਯੂ ਐਵਰੀਥਿੰਗ ਉਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਸੋ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੀ ਹਾਲਤ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬੈਟਰ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਇਟਸ ਆਲ ਟੂ ਡੂ ਵਿਦ ਯੂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਬਲੇਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਿਮਾਰ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੋਚ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਹਾਂ ਸੋ ਵੀ ਕਾਂਟ ਬਲੇਮ ਮੇਨ ਮਕਸਦ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਗਰ ਕੋਈ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਦਾ ਯੋਗਦਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਾਈਡ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੰਗੋ
And so in our adult years, we're experiencing all these symptoms, like we were talking about arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. But these actually did start at a very young age.
Oh.
We weren't aware of it. The cells are developing even from a young age because we learn as a child how we feel about ourselves and others by watching our reactions of our adults around us. We learn from them that when to feel angry, what reasons we should feel angry for, what reason we should feel scared, what reason we should feel worried for, what reason we feel we're not good enough. We learn all these behaviors from the adults around us. So already from a young age, our cells are developing into those eventually turn manifest.
I agree with you because ਬੱਚੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਈ ਬਿਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਐਥੋਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਗੰਠੀ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਬਚਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੇਟਰ ਔਨ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਹਾਇਰ ਸਟੇਜ 'ਤੇ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਐਥੋਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਗੰਠੀਆਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਰ ਇਹਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਚਾਈਲਡਹੁੱਡ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਥੋਟਸ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਹੋਣੇ ਚਾਲੂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਸਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਥੋਟਸ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਲੇਟਰ ਔਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਕਈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਦੋਂ ਲੱਗਦੀਆਂ
That's right, yes. So when I started studying as a mental health practitioner, they were teaching us about our brain. We have different brain areas. The main 5 ones are like the brain stem. That's associated with themes like survival, like it would be associated with things like lungs and kidney. So, and the cerebellum is part of the brain that's associated with nurturing and protection part, and usually to do with our breast, about nurturing. And these were actually, the brainstem and cerebellum were to do when we came more into the human species. We weren't in the emotional beings then. So you can imagine all the reptiles and everything. We're in the animal instinct time. So then there's another brain area called the cerebral cortex that was developed much later on, and we were much more developed as humans. That's usually to do with social and territorial issues. And there was another brain area called the midbrain area, associated with themes around feeling stuck. But the one we're going to discuss today, the brain area to do with arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, is the brain area called cerebral medulla. And that is to do with issues, themes around self-worth and self-devaluation and inferiority conflict.
Okay, that's long to translate now.
Yeah.
so ਉਹ ਵੀ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਹੈ ਇਹ 5 ਹਿੱਸਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੰਡਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। ਜੋ ਸਾਡੀ ਪਾਸਟ ਲਾਈਫ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਕਨੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਗਾ, ਤੇ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਦਾ ਵੀ, ਤੇ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੀ ਹਰਕਤਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਥੋਟਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਡਿਵੈਲਪ ਇਸੇ ਏਰੀਏ 'ਚੋਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, 5 ਚੋਂ ਇੱਕ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 5 ਜਿਹੜੇ ਏਰੀਆਜ਼ ਨੇ ਦੱਸੇ ਨੇ। ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਦਾ ਏਰੀਆ, ਉਹ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਸੈਲਫ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵਰਥ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਊਂਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਸੈਲਫ ਵਰਥ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਘਟਦੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਪੂਰਾ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਵਧਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਘਟਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਨਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ।
That's right, yes. So we're focusing on that brain area, cerebral medulla, and the emotional meta meaning is to do with self-worth, self-devaluation, inferiority conflict. So like when we said earlier on, it's a meaningful response to negative emotion. So the negative emotions that we could be feeling, and we could have started feeling at a very young age. I'll give you some examples. Like we could learn to start feeling unworthy or inferior. These are the root causes.
Okay.
And we could be feeling, mostly comparing ourselves with other people or with our own expectation. And there could be internal dialogue when we started even thinking and believing about ourselves that I'm worthless, I'm useless, I can't compete, I'm of little value, importance, unskilled, and others are better than me, I'm not up to it. See, these are sort of the dialogue you probably already started believing about yourself from a very young age. And these then eventually manifest into symptoms like arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. And so this is the root cause, and we don't sort of address these root causes. And this is the thoughts that we start believing so strongly about ourselves, and they start to play out not also in our body but in the outer world as well, where people will reflect that back to us as well, where we do feel useless and we feel unworthy. So the outer world is mirroring that back to us, but then the body does as well through the symptoms. So we haven't so much awareness.
Yeah.
So much awareness.
All energy is very negative energy, you can say, all around. The thoughts which we are catching for our brain too.
Yeah. But we're calling it negative. It's just something that we learned to believe about ourselves.
Which is not true.
No, it's not true. And that's why it's a blessing in disguise, like the challenges. So if somebody's triggered us and made us feel worthless, but we didn't address it, we still continued to believe that I am worthless, and we sort of like went into blame and didn't really learn from that lesson.
Yeah.
And then the body will say, okay, you didn't learn that lesson, let me show you through the body. And the body will start saying, you listen to me now, that you somehow holding this belief, this thought about yourself, that you're feeling not good enough, you're feeling of little value and importance. So then the body will start shouting to wake you up. It's all a way of healing and making us aware that there's something that's it's not the truth, it's not the universal truth, because we are worthy, we are important, we are valued.
That's so important. I mean, so अपने आप ਨੂੰ value ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੇਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ. You should never think any negative thoughts about yourself, which is, you know, universe is provide, or God has provided us a full actually. We don't have anything ਕੁਝ ਖਰਾਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? That's the thing.
It's the same, but consciously we can talk about it, but if it's running subconsciously because something you believe so much about and you put so much thought and emotions into it, turns into a belief, and belief is that something that runs automatically.
So you don't have to even think it's going to be there, isn't it?
So it's playing out in your physical symptoms, it's playing out in your outer circumstances because it's become an automatic behavior. And the only way we need to, this is where self-mastery comes into it. So you become aware of each time the patterns and the themes running in your life, in the body, and the interactions we have with the people. So this is where we start going to the self journey. I need to find out why am I keep having these repetitive situations, and they are draining me, and I'm not living my life to the fullest. When you go, I've had enough, I surrender. Please now make me aware that what changes do I need to make.
ਸੋ ਊਬੀ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਬਚਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਥੋਟਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣੇ ਚਾਲੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਲੋਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਉਹ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਇਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਥੋਟਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਚਾਈਲਡਹੁੱਡ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਸੀ, ਜਦੋਂ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਵੀ ਇਨਵੋਲਵ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਬਿਲੀਵ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਲੂ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਿਲੀਵ ਥੋਟ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਸੋ ਸਰਟਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਊਬੀ ਨੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਵਰਥੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਾਂ, ਮੇਰਾ ਕੋਈ ਮੁੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਰਥਲੈਸ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ 'ਚ ਕਦਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਐਂਡ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਹੋਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਚੰਗੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਪੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਦੂਸਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਉਹਦਾ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਐਡਲਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕਈਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਹੁਣ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਛੋਟੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, ਸੋ ਉਹਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਯੰਗ ਏਜ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੁਢਾਪੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਿ ਊਬੀ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸੋਚ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਬਿਲੀਵ ਬਣਿਆ, ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਸੁਧਾਰਨਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਦਮ ਚੁੱਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਣਗੇ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਸੋ ਵੀ ਨੀਡ ਟੂ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ how does it affect us biologically? Okay, we're doing through thoughts and awareness. So how does the cells change? And this is interesting. I'll try my very best to explain it in a simplified version. So normally when we say someone's diabetic, we say, I'm diabetic. You think you're stuck with that. You know, you label yourself as that person, but through mental health perspective, you're not stuck with any condition. It's just a process. So this process I'll try and explain. So let's say this person already has his belief that I'm not a very supportive person, I don't get supported, other people don't support me, I'm not there to help others, I don't feel good enough. So something on that theme, okay? So let's say this person lost his job, right? So he got like a shock impact and got a trigger. So straight away he started already thinking, oh, I'm not able to support others, I'm not able to support my family, if I can't support them, I feel useless, I don't feel important, they're going to not value me as much. So all these thoughts down like he's lost his job. Yeah. So straight away, like I said, instantly our cells are listening, aren't they? So that cells will start restructuring itself. So usually, so when you start thinking of less value yourself, we go through this in the stress phase, we don't feel any symptoms at that time because it's all happening through the mind and thoughts. At that time, we are actually getting what we call cell loss. And when we start feeling so less of ourselves, we start losing bone densities at that time. And actually we don't realize we can't feel it because we're so focused on the stress that our bones are losing its strength, and we call it cell loss. It starts thinning away. And we're not aware of this, what's happening to us. Because as I say, it's very meaningful. Our body, like I say, a higher conscious will behave exactly what you believe about yourself. So body will restructure ho jogi. So let's say you're going through this stress phase and it's gone for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden you get a resolution. Something happens, he gets another job. And all of a sudden he's feeling, oh my God, my worry is over. Actually, I feel I can support others. I can feel worthy. I can feel I am useful to others. So it's gone the opposite of the stress thoughts he was having. So body's thinking, okay, this is what you started to believe about yourself, because you're starting feeling worthy, you're feeling you can support others. You need to the cells start regenerating, so we get a cell plus. So the cell starts, developing more and more, but it happens very quickly because the body has to come back into homeostasis, into a balance. Jina loss hoya or na gain hona ya. But at that time, the regeneration phase, that's when we experience the symptoms. That's where we feel the pains.
Okay.
So the pain actually comes in the healing phase, not in the stress phase. The stress phase, we don't feel any symptoms. Most of the time, 98% of the time, okay? But we feel the symptoms in the healing phase because that's when we, like you say, we are getting growing pains, we hear gender growing pains, so we're actually having a cell plus. And that's when we experience the pains in the joints and arms and legs.
दर्द जेडी होनी है इस दौरान चंगी हुंदी है.
That's right.
Sending a sign, isn't it, that you are getting better?
Like they said, no gain without pain.
Yeah, no gain without pain.
So this is what conventional medicine don't take this on board. They don't understand this concept. Well, because they just haven't studied it to this level. And if anybody wants to study this themselves, they can check on YouTube, go into German medicine. It's called German medicine. And they can see that they've got scientific proof, CT scans, how it's affecting the brain. So when you got into stress, so what area of the brain, they'll show that on the CT scan. And when it's gone into healing, they show what part of the brain is getting healed.
Oh, wow.
It's all interconnected. It's called brain relay, organ-brain relay. And so that's when we actually start getting the symptoms when we're in the healing phase. So as my kids always laugh at me because if they've got some sort of symptom or like eczema or something, I say, oh, what are you healing? They look at me, she always happy.
मेरे तो कुछ होया पिया skin पे any rash हुई पिया and you're saying I'm healing.
I smile because I think your body is so incredibly powerful. It knows what to do. We just somehow don't have this much faith and trust in our bodies.
But in normal ways है ना, वो भी जदों ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆਂ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਕੱਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਇਦਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਐਗਜ਼ੀਮੀਆ ਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤਾ. I mean everybody they think ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਨੇ ਲੋਸ਼ਨ ਇੰਨੀ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਲਗਾਈਆਂ and suddenly it's flare up. Yeah. So what's happening? But that's good you told कि it's a healing process. ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਈ medical term 'ਚ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਘਾਵ ਭਰਦਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ itching ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ.
That's right.
But it's a sign of healing.
Because it's cell growth and like eczema something when it's healing because lots of cells because it has to have accelerated rate because it has to come back under balance. That's why it looks like a sudden growth or something.
Yeah.
Even a tumor or anything, it's a sudden growth. But it looks like the body's working against you, but it's not. You actually are healing. The body's coming into balance at the same time. The itching means that it's healing. The pain means it's healing. But we start to apply all these medication and things and steroids, especially on eczema. It puts it back into stress because the steroid numbs the skin again when it's actually trying to grow because there's been some healing skin's about connection where there has been a resolution and you have connected because the stress was separation. That skin went thin and you gone into connection, the skin started to grow again. And that's the same with arthritis as well. So that when the person felt unworthy, useless, the bone density started, getting less and less. But once it started to feel, I am worthy, I am feeling good enough, I am useful, and I am supportive, then the body is thinking, well, if you're feeling that way, then you have to have the strength back into the bones. It depends on which part of because they all got a different theme from elbow to shoulder.
Which we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So they all have a theme. But we just give an example here, like a man lost his job, and so he started to feel useless, unworthy, and when the resolution found a job, he felt good about himself. He felt, I am useful now to my family, I can support them. So that's why he started getting pain, let's say the lower back. So all of a sudden he started getting pain because now all of a sudden he need to be upright and support the family. So the pain, like you said, it's a good thing.
So ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਉਦਾਹਰਣ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਮੰਨ ਲਓ ਇੱਕ ਸਾਡੀ ਸੋਚ ਬਿਲੀਵ ਬਣਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਬਚਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਵਰਥੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਲਈ ਕੁਝ ਕਾਮਯਾਬੀ ਦੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਾਸਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਲਈ ਮੇਰਾ ਕੋਈ ਯੋਗਦਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਗਰੋ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਉਹਦੀ ਜੌਬ ਲੌਸਟ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਜਦੋਂ ਜੌਬ ਲੌਸਟ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਉਹੀਓ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਬ੍ਰੇਨ 'ਚ ਆਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਵੀ ਵਾਕਈ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਵਰਥੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਆਪ ਕੋਈ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਉਹ ਥੋਟਸ ਉਹਦੇ ਬ੍ਰੇਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਚਾਲੂ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਬਿਲੀਵਸ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਬਚਪਨ 'ਚ ਬਣੇ ਹੋਏ ਸੀ ਉਹੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਐਡਲਟਹੁੱਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਲੀਵ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਣਨੇ ਚਾਲੂ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਕੋਈ ਵਰਥੀ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਵਰਥੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਇਨਕਮ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨਲੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਕੁਡ ਬੀ ਐਨੀਥਿੰਗ बट जदों उन्होंने अचानक जॉब मिल जाती है स्ट्राइट अवे आफ्टर 1 वीक और 2 वीक्स यू कैन से तो वो थॉट्स चेंज हो जाते हैं भी वाकई मैंने तो काम भी मिल गया मैं हुण अपनी फैमिली नूं सपोर्ट भी कर सकदा तो वो जिहड़ा बिलीव है जिहड़ा कि बचपन च बनिया होया सी उहदा बिलीव जदों उन्होंने जॉब दोबारा मिल जाती है वो बिलीव चेंज होना चालू हो जाता है नहीं मैं अपनी फैमिली नूं सपोर्ट कर सकदा मैं उसकी मदद कर सकदा मैं अपनी मदद कर सकदा मैं दूसरिਆਂ ਦਾ सहारा बन सकदा वो बिलीव जदों चेंज होए तो ਉਹਦੇ पेन चालू हो गई बैक ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ रीजन ਇਹ ਸੀਗਾ कि एथराइटिस ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ बन चुका सी ऑलरेडी पर ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ पेन स्टार्ट होंदी है वो भी ने दसिया भी ਇਹਦਾ मतलब वो हीलिंग हो रही है सो ਜਿਹੜਾ हीलिंग प्रोसैस है ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ दर्द स्टार्ट होंदी है या एक्जीमिया ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ नज़र आता है भी ਜ਼ਖਮਬਾਰ स्किन ਜਿਹੜੀ ज़्यादा खराब है पर एक्चुअली रियलिटी ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ स्किन है हील हो रही होंदी है ਉਹਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ नज़र आ रहा भी हीलिंग प्रोसैस हो रहा सो इट्स नथिंग टू वरीड अबाउट ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸੈਲਫ ਮਾਸਟਰਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਬਾਡੀ ਹੀਲਿੰਗ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ दर्द पेन या चेहरे ते तुहानू झुर्रियां या कुछ कह लो भी जिहड़ा स्किन की कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो वो नज़र आनी चालू होंदी है उहदा इफैक्ट तुहानू नज़र आंदा है पर ऑलरेडी वो प्रोसैस ऑफ हीलिंग दे विच हैगा सो इट्स अ गुड साइन जेकर तुहानू इहदा दा साइन आंदा इहदा मतलब है कि तुसी अपनी हीलिंग प्रोसैस चों गुजर रहे हो
हाँ जी so like I said we'll go through some of the so we can talk about the knee so let's say a lot of people have knee issues
जी हाँ जी गोडियां दी जिन्हां नू प्रॉब्लम होंदी है is it rheumatoid or arthritis we are talking about
arthritis but we can talk about rheumatoid arthritis because that has a slightly different we can say it now anyway so rheumatoid arthritis is it's more to do with a severe separation conflict so where we start
separation
hanji so arthritis is like you said it's more self-devaluation so we don't feel valued enough we don't feel sadi qadar nahi hundi or we feel that we're not good enough and those sort of themes but rheumatoid arthritis will also have a emotional theme around feeling separation as well so it's more intense so you will actually also be feeling the feeling of not good enough not feeling I'm useful enough and those sort of things not feeling I'm not valued enough but also have an extra thing of feeling alone and separated at the same time
more separation
yeah so and it's usually to do where let's say you're feeling so useless in a situation you don't feel important you don't feel valued and you really devalue yourself and then also you start to feeling that you go into self-judgment self-blame and you start attacking yourself you are attacking yourself as well really feeling like I'm useless I'm not good enough so that it comes because rheumatoid arthritis it's like an autoimmune disease isn't it so that's when the body starts attacking itself well why is it attacking itself because you somehow start attacking yourself with your own thoughts about you so you probably felt useless you weren't able to support others but forget other people saying anything to you start attacking yourself thinking I'm not good enough person I'm not good enough wife husband son whatever so you started and when you like you said the body will believe whatever you think and believe the emotions you have about yourself and others so it will start functioning in that way so that's why the rheumatoid arthritis symptoms are more intense like you start to feel like multiple joints and fever and weak and tiredness and unwell because there's an extra theme of feeling the separation conflicts I feel alone I feel useless I don't want to share with anyone I just want to keep away because I'm not good enough to be around other people so that is all going on internally the dialogue and there's also the so when this separation and feeling alone so it also be associated with the kidneys so the kidneys is to do with the themes around emotions around isolation abandonment conflict so you're feeling devalued you're feeling not thodi any qadar nahi tusi aap nahi karde log bhi nahi karde so you feel alone in that
so rheumatoid arthritis
so because you're feeling so alone in how you're feeling devalued in yourself then you also the kidneys will start cells in there will start reacting so also that's why you get these swellings swellings around the joints because kidneys are associated with the water isn't it in our body so that's why we start getting swelling in those certain joints so that's why all these organs, they play such a good part in everything that we're thinking, but the body's not working against us to make ourselves ill. It's finding a way to bring a balance and heal us. Because when the joint, and we're feeling so devalued, let's say in my finger here, where I felt this finger, I felt something a skill I couldn't achieve, and I felt it didn't sort of like present itself how I wanted it, and so I felt really devalued and felt my skill wasn't good enough. So the pain would come, would be associated there, but also I felt alone. I couldn't share that feeling of vulnerability and fear of not being appreciated, acknowledged for my skill. So you feel alone in that worry and fear. So the fluid will come around and get inflamed finger here, because the fluid's also there to help the joint to heal. So it's all interconnected, and it sounds a bit complicated, but I'm just saying the body is not making a mistake. It's there to find a way to find the body go back into healing. So the kidneys affected with rheumatoid arthritis, as well as the normal joints, and the bone density is also affected. So that's why those sort of interconnected, and the blood also is connected to feeling devalued and everything with the bones and joints as well. So leukemia and everything, that's all associated to that as well. So when we stop blaming ourselves, when we stop criticizing ourselves, that's when we can heal that part and reduce the inflammation. So this is all, so the feeling of feeling humiliated, degraded, feeling less worthy, this is all part of when we start criticizing ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, so that's rheumatoid arthritis and arthritis. So they're all interconnected. So if somebody's not feeling alone and abandoned and isolated, they'll just feel the symptoms of arthritis with the joints and stiffness, forget it. They won't feel the fever or anything.
So,
okay, so I want to talk more about, so if I can talk about the knee, is that okay?
yeah, we can start. Sorry, I've got a bit of cough. I think I need to drink some water.
That's okay, yes.
So yeah, we can start with on arthritis, starting with the knee.
Okay, so up here we tend to have, a lot of people have issues around knees, and knees, the emotional, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would associate with this, where they feel like, it's usually people who are stubborn characters. I mean, if you can think of anyone with knee issues, think of anyone that you know has any issues, think of their personalities and how they come across. Are they very uncompromising, got zidine, you know, they're very rigid and stuck in their ways, you know. So where they feel, you know, their physical performance is not that good. I wish they could have been faster, where they feel they're always feeling like they're not fast enough in life, or they wish they could have won something, a crisis in their own confidence. These sort of themes. So this is how it works. So let's say a client came to me and the client said, oh, I got a pain in my knee. I don't understand where this pain came from. So I know straight away when they mention they got a pain in the knee, I know they're going into some healing and resolution. And so I would ask them the question, I would say, okay, so just before the onset of the pain, you know, what were you feeling, because it'd be the opposite, they'd be feeling good about something. So where did you feel that you could compromise? Where did you feel that your confidence increased? Where did you felt like you won a situation? So asking these sort of questions, because obviously the pain is indicating they resolved an issue. So you said the opposite of what the stress was about, where the stress was they were rigid.
It's so different, isn't it, compared to the normal doctor you will go.
Yeah.
They will give you medicine, okay, you got pain, but there is the opposite.
Absolutely.
No wonder your children feel, you know, so different when you say, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good, you're excited and happy.
Yeah, so I know you resolved something
Yeah.
you know, on a mental resolution, or something you just resolved in the outer circumstances where you felt with somebody who came with a knee pain, thinking, oh, where did you felt before that you felt you couldn't move forward, you felt stuck. By now you're feeling quite flexible, and all of a sudden thinking, oh yeah, that happened to me. Yeah, actually, you know, before I felt like I didn't want to compromise with that person because they did this to me. Then I thought, you know, what the heck, I'm gonna. So something they felt good about something. So they would have felt good about something just before the onset of the pain.
ਓਕੇ
Yeah.
ਸੋ ਗੋਡੇ 'ਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਦਰਦ ਹੋਈ ਯਾਨੀ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ
Yeah.
ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਪੇਨ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਕੁਛ
Yeah.
ਰਿਕਵਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਪੇਨ
That's
ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ
right.
ਇਟਸ ਜਸਟ ਅ ਸਾਈਨ
Yeah.
ਕਿ ਦੇ ਹੈਵ ਰਿਕਵਰਡ ਫਰਮ ਸਮਥਿੰਗ
So from there, I start my inquiry. So then I'll say like, oh, so you started feeling good about this, but when, if you go further back, when did you actually start feeling the opposite of that, what you're feeling good about? So that's when you know when the trigger happened. So we can get a real good information from just that series of questions, that what pattern they're running throughout their lives, what triggered them. So once we become aware of our triggers, then we could do something about it.
Okay.
So the trigger could have been with this person with a knee issue where they felt like they could never keep up with someone, they always felt left behind, they always have to, they can't run or they can't do things fast enough. Do you understand? So maybe something where they were young, when they were little, where they felt like everybody else was ahead of them, or they felt they were the last ones in a race or something, where they all started judging and devalued themselves, like being slow all the time. So that would have been a trigger for the rest of their life.
Yeah, that's so true. So it's a belief set, isn't it?
So that trigger, that stress would have, all those years would have started losing the cell loss. So the cell would have been going less and less in that particular area in the knee, and it would have been, the bone density would have gone less and less. But as soon as they had a resolution, they're thinking, well, I'm fast enough, I can keep up. So then the body thinks, okay, I believe what you say. And there's a cell growth, and that's when the pain comes. The pain means another cell, the knee is getting stronger, and there's more strength in there. So the pain is a good sign.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I never think, because when we have we have lots of people coming like a knee replacement and all that as well, and they have so much arthritis around the knee area, and I mean, they need to come to you then, isn't it?
Oh yeah, any issues, and because the most problems that we have is the fear around symptoms. If we can eliminate the fear. If we eliminate the fear, then the body can heal very quickly, because it's not the symptoms that kill a person, it's the fear behind the symptoms that really kills a person.
Yeah,
that brings
the thoughts, so many
death.
thoughts. Yeah, it's so true.
Because the symptoms are the healing. So we fear the symptoms, we fear our emotions. Humanity mostly live in fear most of the time, but the emotions are not meant to be feared, they're meant to be acknowledged and loved and transmuted into unconditional love. And symptoms are there to just like to be loved, and they're there to heal us, not to break us, not to work against us. But we fear all of that, because somehow through hundreds of years and years that we somehow learned to believe that the body can make a mistake, but it doesn't. The body is evolved over so many centuries and centuries to know how to survive on this planet.
So it's very intelligent, we have very, very intelligent ourselves living in there, which is like, through things like you teaching us, mastering can help.
So if
to
anybody
heal yourself, isn't it? You don't.
That's right. So every time I get a symptom, I'm thinking, what was I thinking about that particular area? And it always seems to be bang on right. I mean, I spoke to another lady a few months ago, and she goes, I was feeling so good yesterday. I woke up this morning, but my neck, it's really hurting. I can't move my neck. She could So I was thinking, this is good. I said, what is it that you felt good about? Because the neck is to do about injustice or your intellect, or you can't see two sides. You're not seeing two sides of the stories, or your story's not being heard, Hannah. So I'll ask her a series of questions. So what did you feel just before this pain, where you felt? She goes, I woke up with it. I said, what did you go to sleep that you felt good about? Says, whilst you were sleeping. And she goes, I just had this interesting thing a day before that I got, somebody didn't hear two side stories, and I got to express myself, and I actually felt quite intelligent because of the way I said it. And where I felt there was a lot of injustice, I got justice through speaking, and everybody heard my side of the story. Okay. There you are. Instantly, she went into healing. So she woke up with a really painful neck, but that pain was showing that the cells, there's a cell growth, and the body's gone into healing. So instead of judging it and making it wrong, you need to express love and gratitude. Thank you for healing.
Okay, so Ubi ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੋਗੇ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਬਾਡੀ ਪਾਰਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਵੀ ਗੋ ਰੀਲੀ 2 minutes left, we won't able to cover all the areas. So ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਫੀਟਸ ਜੋ ਹੋਏ, ਘੁਟਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਏ, ਲੱਕ 'ਚ ਹੋਏ, ਨੈਕ 'ਚ ਹੋਏ, ਸ਼ੋਲਡਰਸ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਹੋਈ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ किस तरीके दे नाल अपने थॉट्स चेंज करके हील कर सकते हैं, या पहले तो कुछ उन्हां दे साइन दसदे भी ए तुहानूं फील होंदा ते फिर आपां हीलिंग च किद्दां जा सकदे आ? वी गो ओनली 2 minutes left.
I know it's every part of the joint and leg and ligament, everything, you know, has emotional meaning to it. It's good to get to know someone who can explain what the emotional meaning is, because then you can resolve it at a root cause. But if you haven't got anyone to talk to, I would just connect with that pain wherever it is now, because that's the only time I can explain. We haven't got much time. Wherever the pain is, just recognize this is healing. So, you know, and visualize yourself that it's already healed. I'm already healed. So we're talking about arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, or we're going to say that whatever you thought you had before, it doesn't matter where it is, like the shoulder, I felt burden, just say, no, I do value myself, I do honor myself, I am worthy. So just use those thoughts. I am worthy, I'm good enough, I am useful, I am, you know, I am deserving of the appreciation and respect from everyone. So just change your thoughts. So just be aware, what were you thinking before the pain? What negative thoughts were you having? Just do the opposite of that. I mean, it's much better speaking to someone who's, you know, who knows the exact meaning. Right. But then visualize whatever the symptom, give it the love and kindness, and see it already healed. And talk, and don't sort of like give it too much attention. This is wrong, I don't like this. Say, you know what, I'm not going to give it any more bad judgment. I'm just going to love you through this pain, because I know you're healing at this moment. I don't want to give you, I've given you enough worry and stress all those years. From now on, I'm going to change my story around this. I'm going to give you a lot of respect and honor, and allow this healing process to just go smoothly, and let go of any feelings of frustration, anger, disappointment. Say, no, I'm just going to love and just honor this healing. But like I said, if you can go on to German medicine on YouTube, you can sort of like check on there what symptoms you have, and if you wanted to say, look, what's the root cause of back pain, neck pain, elbow pain, you know, hip pain, check that for now. Go on there and find out what the emotional cause, and see how you can resonate with that.
Time thoda,
I know, I'm rushing now because
we have to like we had each area to actually ਅਸੀਂ cover ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਪੈਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਸਿਰ ਤੱਕ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਹੋਏ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨਲ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਾਫੀ ਥੋਟਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਿਆ, ਐਂਡ ਵੀ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੈਲਫ ਬਿਲੀਵਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਐਥਰਾਈਟਿਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਬਟ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ, ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਰਮਨ ਮੈਡੀਸਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ, ਇਟ ਇਜ਼
just go on YouTube, type in German medicine, and ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਾਫੀ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਮਿਲ ਜੂਗੀ. But if you want to contact me as well, through davilb@hotmail.co.uk, you can get information from there. But yeah, just love your symptoms and you'll heal much quicker. Don't डरना नहीं, फेर नहीं करना.
So फेर ना करो ते एथराइटिस नहीं होएगा. बेसिकली उबी दा मनना ऐ हैगा कि जदों साडी बॉडीज़ दे विच कोई भी थॉट्स जड़े बिलीव्स ने वो आंदे ने जड़े कि फेर दे विच तब्दील होए हुंदे हैं, उन्हां दे करके सानू एथराइटिस हुंदा है. एंड वैबसाइट जड़ी हैगी जर्मन मैडिसन, जेकर तुसी जाओ ते ईच पार्ट जिथे तुहानू एथराइटिस है उहदे बारे जानकारी तुसी इन्हां तो लै सकदे हो. So Ubi, thank you so much for coming to Kanshi TV. Really appreciate. We talk about arthritis, the main topic lots of our viewer wanted to know. So ਦੋਸਤੋ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਖਤਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. ਮਿਲਾਂਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਵੀਕ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਗੈਸਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਤੇ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਹੈਲਥ ਟੋਕ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਤੇ ਗੱਲ. ਤਦ ਤੱਕ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦਿਓ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ. ਜੈ ਗੁਰਦੇਵ.